Today, meet Aaron, sales executive, all that and more. But then one day, he found he needed to quit drinking.
I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains and wipe away every stain. That I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed.
Welcome. It's the 20th day of January in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC. Remember that you have someone down the street, around the corner, and up the block at Powell CDC. You have people that you can call anonymously and say, my son's out of control. I can't control my husband. The drinking has just gotten so bad. The drug use has gotten so bad. The food has gotten so bad. The food addiction. They can't stop eating, or she won't eat at all. And there are people down the street, around the corner, and up the block from you who will care. And they'll talk to you, and they'll listen to you. And they'll set it up and make arrangements so that person that you love can get help. Maybe it's the person to the cubicle next to you right now. You smell that smell in the morning when they come in, and you know it's not just their breath. And Mondays, so many times they miss half a day, and it's called the brown bottle flu. Or maybe it's somebody at church. Maybe it's somebody in your small group. Maybe it's somebody you love. This program, Restoring Hope, Recovery Monday, is designed to help you, the loved one, the caring one, to know a little bit about what this disease is about and how addiction can be overcome and you can recover from it with the help of the folks down at Powell CDC. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, in the house today. Bob, nice to see you.
Good to be here.
Nice to have you here. Of course, Lila, Bob's got a black hat on and you have an orange sweater, so it must be Halloween. Lila Stafford, who is a certified... what is your actual certified addiction counselor?
Yes.
No, it's not addiction. It's is it addiction?
Yes.
Okay. And of course, Ryan is producing today. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and our special guest today is Aaron. Aaron is a sales executive who is in the process of taking that spiritual walk to become sober and remain sober. And he's brave enough to come in and share his story with us today, so it'll help you. Yeah, it does help us when we share our story, but it helps us because we think we're providing a service to somebody out there, that God will somehow use what we say to help someone you love to overcome the hurts, habits, and hang-ups of life. Aaron, nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me today.
Good. Nice to have you here. So where's home?
Home currently is in West Des Moines, but I was born and raised in Springfield, Virginia.
Springfield, Virginia.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a Redskins fan, so
that's okay.
that may have led to some of my addiction. I'm not sure.
No, that's all right. That's all right. And brothers and sisters?
I have a sister who's about 18 months younger than me. She is currently a lawyer. She was always good at arguing, so it worked really well for her. But yeah, one sister.
Okay, and where does she live?
She lives in Virginia as well. My entire family's out still in the East Coast.
Mom and Dad still there?
Mom and Dad are both still there.
And what did Dad do when you were growing up?
Dad worked for the government for the most part, basically, in the Pentagon. He was in the military for a little bit, retired from there.
Wow.
Mom was a nurse, so she spent early childhood. A lot of it, my father took care of us during the evenings because she would work nights and weekends.
I've always wanted to ask somebody who works at the Pentagon this. So did your father ever answer a question like this? Well, I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
I probably heard that a dozen or more times daily.
Daily, yeah. I always get that from people who work in the government. So you moved, when did you move here to Iowa?
We've been in Iowa now for 7 years.
Right.
Moved from Virginia to Colorado, and then from Colorado out here to God's country.
Okay, and well, I think Colorado's, but that's okay. Why'd you leave Colorado, job-wise?
That's exactly right. The company that I worked for at the time said, can you convince your wife to leave staring at Pikes Peak every day and then go move to Des Moines? Yeah, and that was pretty much the biggest sale of my career from a sales perspective, I think, is convincing her to make that move.
But we came through for her, didn't we?
100%.
She loves this place now.
You know, one of the great stories is that she was about 9 months pregnant. So she couldn't travel when we were out here trying to find the house. And when I flew her out here, we walked into a Come and Go, I think it was, or a QT or something, and she came out with some sodas or some pop. We call it pop now. And she said, "Did you arrange that?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "The people are the nicest.
Yeah.
This is the nicest people I've ever seen in my entire life, and just cordial." And it was coming from her heart. And I was like, "Yes, I arranged all that. I'm glad
Yes,
you're out."
thank you for giving me credit. I've lived two places in my life, Nebraska and Iowa, and I don't travel much, but when I do, I'm reminded of how good the people here are.
Yeah.
Because so many schmucks. So many, short-sighted, don't care, don't open the door, slam the door, take the card, or, just whatever it is. And you come to Iowa and you really begin to feel that genuine Midwestern hospitality that I think we're famous for. Mm-hmm. So what do you think she likes best about Iowa? People?
Man, I think that, when we found our house, it was next to the Jordan Creek Mall. So I figured at one time it was the shopping.
There you go.
But, she's actually, we love, I want to say the weather's been really nice having all 4 seasons.
Okay.
We love where we live in West Des Moines. So the people are great. The traffic is great, or the lack thereof, coming from the East Coast. And, and the people. I think the people is just a really big piece to it.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you here. So what was your first experience with alcohol?
First experience with alcohol, I was probably 14. I think I was right about 14 years old. Wasn't very prevalent in my home growing up. Neither my mother or my father drank quite a bit, did not drink. But I remember getting a bottle of peach schnapps and grabbing 2 of my buddies, so 3 of us, and we went to a wood pile. They were building an elementary school about 3 blocks from my home, and we went out back there and drank that bottle of peach schnapps. And I still remember vividly sitting there, the feeling of the warmth going through me, wanting to do more of it. We just had a little pint of it at the time, and we were acting silly, and it was great. It was where has this been all my life?
Yeah.
At 14, and so that was the first experience with it.
Did you do much of it afterwards?
For the most part, after that initial experience, not significantly. Still here and there, we would go out and sneak a little bit out of the liquor cabinet of my folks or one of the other folks and that sort of thing. But right around then, it was mostly just thinking we were cool from smoking cigarettes and chewing tobacco and those types of things. Alcohol wasn't real prevalent yet, but I do remember that very first time when
Red Man or Happy Days?
Gosh, back then it was still Camels for us.
The chewing.
Oh,
tobacco.
the chew. It was Copenhagen.
Oh,
yeah, that's.
Yeah, for me it was Happy Days. I wasn't strong enough to chew Copenhagen. That's the serious stuff.
Well, it used to make us throw up, so that was but we still did it. I mean, I guess that was sort of the signs that maybe I had some issues already starting.
Did any of the other 2 young men that you were with have the opposite reaction to alcohol? And that was, ugh, I hate this feeling. Ooh, yuck! I want to go home.
No, I mean, I think that I seem to have a little. My recollection of it is that I had a little more fun than they did with it.
Okay.
I was the one that whether it was the alcohol or not, but I was the one that felt it a little more, was happy, was thinking, man, this is great. And they're like, we could probably take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But, it was great to have a good time and sit on the wood pile and do what we needed to do.
So from the time you're 14 and your first schnapps to the time you graduate from high school, did your drinking accelerate at all, or did it just stay the same? Or
well, it accelerated a little bit. So I had a few odd jobs here and there, but right about high school, sophomore, junior year is really when the alcohol started to pick up a little bit. So we would go out on the weekends, right? So Friday and Saturday were really, the big days that we would go. And the great thing was the interesting thing was that I couldn't drink beer. Right. So at the time, living in Virginia, it was drinking malt liquor and the 40 ounces of malt liquor. And I couldn't drink it. It would make me sick. So I used to have all the guys have to go out and get me wine coolers. Uh-huh. So I'd be the guy sitting with a 4-pack of Bartles and James, and everyone else around me is drinking, beer. And so I used to get ripped for it a little bit. But, then on the weekends, it was Friday and Saturday, whatever we could get. At the time, our parents, I think, were aware of it. So they were, my folks were the type that said, hey, if you're going to do it, go ahead and just do a little bit in the basement, right? At least I know where you are. I know you can keep it safe. But for the most part, it was just on the weekends. Towards my later in my junior year, I started working for a restaurant as a busboy and waiter. So that was really kind of a little bit of a progression, because in that hospitality industry, there's a bar and it's always around. But what we started to do is we got real smart my senior year, and we started to do what we call fermented Fridays. So that
Fermented Friday.
fermented Fridays.
Oh my God, I think we
Bob,
did
I
the same
think
thing.
we need to fermentedfridays.com, I think, probably.
No way.
You're welcome to use that one if you like it. But what we did is that we would steal a bottle of Bacardi rum, and we would go to 7-Eleven and go get a 64-ounce soda and dump 3/4 of it out and fill it up with, we'd pass around with 3 of us, and then we'd put it in our lockers at 7:15 in the morning and sip it all day long.
Whoa.
To the point where, at the end of the day, the soda has just kind of starting to eat away. It was probably the booze as well that started to eat away at the bottom. But that's what we did on Fridays. And then, of course, it was as the day progressed, we would drink a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And then come, 3 o'clock, we would do that. But
I thought you were going to say we used to put it in a garbage can for Fridays. I mean, just everyone would come to a party and throw whatever they had in this garbage can. Oh God, it was nasty.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was a majority of it, so that we'd have kegs here and there, keg parties, and I mean there was quite a bit of drinking and driving, for the most part.
Oh, I know. We used to. I want to ask you something.
Sure.
You said that your parents said, and I know there are lots of parents that do this, that said if you're going to drink, just do it here, so we can keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that today with your children?
No.
Yeah.
No. I've given that a lot of thought, having 2 young children currently and how I'm going to address that. But, I think that they're going to experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that whatever trials and tribulations I've gone through, I can pass that on to them as they get older and I get older and wiser. But I don't think that I would condone that, especially with, it was one thing just having me there, me being their son, but also having, and I don't know, I'm going to be 40 this year, so I'm not sure I think the climate's changed a little bit, but the responsibility now for having other children there and then getting in a car and driving home and the liability behind that, it's not something that I'd want to assume or it's not something I'd want to assume.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me because I had those rules in my house. There's no drinking, period. So my kids, they didn't drink in high school, but their friends did. So they would drink at someone else's house, and then they'd all come to my house drunk. So I got them when they were drunk. but I wouldn't allow any. I mean, I was checking kids when they were coming to my house because I just didn't want to be responsible for giving it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, we would steal wine from my parents and that sort of stuff. And we left school one day and it was 4:00, 4:15. And we had dared I think we had a bottle of Blush and we had told a buddy of mine, it was probably 200 pounds, 6'1", said, I bet you can't drink this bottle of wine in 30 seconds. And he did. And he had, I remember this vividly, he had a green MG at the time, little green, 2-seater MG car. And he drank that, immediately got into his car and started driving up the street over to the next, we lived in, there's multiple streets attached. We could hear him squealing tires around. Found his way back to our house, but I mean, at that time, he was just belligerent, and we had to call. I mean, we had nothing to do but call his father and say, "You got to come get him."
Yeah.
I mean, we owned up to we said, "Oh, he did it," but I mean, that was scary. Is you had somebody that was 200 pounds and just out of his mind, but just get in his car and drive away, and in the middle of the afternoon, 4:00, 5:00.
By the way, fermentedfriday.com is taken.
Did you look that
I
up?
checked on that. All right, it's a Monday afternoon. This is Powell CDC's Recovery Monday, live with Bob Montserrat and Lila Stafford. Produced by Ryan today, and we have a special guest, Aaron. Heard a little bit about his youth and how drinking was a part of his youth, but it got serious after a while. And it became something that he felt was maybe unmanageable in his life, and that maybe he couldn't control his drinking. Sound like anybody you know? Of course it does. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you know or you love, but I want you to know there's help there with Powell CDC. They are in Lutheran Hospital. Insurance is accepted. They do everything from detox to help you in an inpatient or outpatient, but most of all, they care. They care about your life and what you may be doing to it and how they can maybe help you put life back on life's terms, something you can manage, something you can work with, something you can really be proud of. That's coming up next, live here on Recovery Monday on 99.3. This is KTIA, Iowa.
mother who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
20th day of January, we're back here on Recovery Monday, brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. Should you want to make a comment, you can jump on our chat at webcast1live.com. That's webcast, ONE live.com. And Bob monitors the chat there, so you can jump on there. Maybe you have a question for Aaron or Lila and don't want to have your voice on the radio. If you do care about your voice being on the radio, we'd love to hear it. It is your voice we want to hear. Toll free, 1-855-244-0077. Aaron is our guest today. So you get out of high school and you've had a few parties, but nothing severe. When do you think the drinking got out of control? When did it start to control you rather than you control it?
You know, the drinking really, so moving from Virginia to Colorado was really the start of it for me. I had decided, graduated from a community college for 2 years in Virginia, figured I'm going to move to Colorado. I'm going to go ski 100 days a year, be a ski bum, and live there. And so got accepted to the University of Colorado. Never been there, never seen the college, just basically got accepted and went. And from there, what I did is I took the job of a bartender for a microbrew. So just a small brew pub that was in Colorado Springs and was the bartender.
Was this Colorado College?
So no, this was University of Colorado. So they have there's one in Boulder, there's one in Denver, and there's one in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
I lived right next to Colorado College at the time, but so that was really where the drinking kind of stepped it up to the next level. So at the time, being a bartender, right, there was, my usual MO was to show up for work at 3 or 4 o'clock and to start drinking around 5 or 6 with some of my regulars, and it would be historically Jaeger was my drink of choice. And so what I would do is I would have a few shots of Jaeger throughout the day here and there. As the night progressed, since I was a manager as well, so I would basically shut the restaurant down and run the bar from 4 o'clock to 2. I would start drinking heavily. I was lucky. Well, I wasn't lucky, but one of my customers happened to be dealing cocaine at the time, so he would get free drinks and I would get cocaine. So ideally, what my life looked like at that time was 8 to 12 shots of Jägermeister. It'd make me sick to the stomach because I wouldn't eat. I'd go out back. I'd throw up. I'd come back in. I'd do a little toot, a little bit of cocaine, and go right back to it. And then 2 o'clock in the morning, I would hop in my car thinking I was sober, stealing from my company, just pocketing extra money, and would drive home night after night after night. And I did that for many, many years.
You know what? This sounds like my story. I lived in Denver, and I was a bartender, and I got paid in White Crosses, which or speed. Those were tips, and would drive home from there. And I got in a wreck one night and nobody was around. And I went straight in the road. You either turn right or left. And I went straight. But I just think how dangerous that was in all aspects. And I was fired all the time. Fired like nightly, but then they'd call me the next morning and come and clean up.
Right.
So it was not a healthy environment.
So when did that all change? What happened that made you go, oh, crap?
Well, the first point was about 2 weeks. So this bar had closed, and we were invited to. So we had basically shown up for work one night, came back the next day. Owners basically bailed on the property and said, "Hey, drink all you want, right? You guys have been great employees. Drink up the rest of the bar while we're cutting everything out and removing everything, and we'll get jobs for you at our family restaurant, another restaurant downtown." Well, I of course proceeded just to drink until I couldn't see, and then proceeded to tell the owner and his wife what I truly thought of them. Forgot it all, woke up the next morning to go to my new job, and of course walked in, and the manager said, "Do you remember what happened last night?" And of course I said, "I have no idea." He said, "You're fired." So, I'd end up losing 2 jobs in one day. So at that point I said, okay, I'm going to go back and was a waiter for a steakhouse at the time. Had just gotten off training, had spent 2 weeks training on the floor, and they said, "Hey, congratulations on finishing your training. Let's go take you out and get you drunk." And I said, "That's a great idea." So we went to a local bar in Colorado Springs, and I ended up drinking about 24 shots of Jameson.
Whoa!
Over about and again, this was all piecemealed back to me. Somehow, got the wild urge to say I have to go home. The bar was about 4 miles from where I lived at the time. Got in my car, and again, this is all pieced together from police reports, but got into my car. It was raining. I was lucky enough to have a car that had an automatic seatbelt that would go up at the time and cross over you.
Ford Tempo, right?
It was actually an Acura Integra at the time, but it was. And so what happened was that I had the day before I'd called my father and said, "Hey, Pop, I need some tires, right? I'm out of money because I've been spending it all. I didn't tell him on drugs and alcohol, and I need some tires for my car." And that night I left this bar and drove home and had swerved into the opposite lane on a 2-lane road, sideswiped a vehicle, blew a tire, and then went into a 40-foot skid head on into a Volkswagen Bug.
Oh my!
That had 2 occupants in it that were roughly, young adults in their early 20s. I don't remember anything about the accident. I have a vivid, foggy recollection of being able to get out of the car, sitting on the curb, and sitting there, and that's about all I remember until the next morning when I was able to wake up in the hospital with a detective looking over me saying, "Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in?" And at that point, I had to be told the story and look at the 80 or 90 page police report that came along with that.
How old were you at this time?
See, that was 99, so 23.
Okay. And so you stayed in the hospital for a while, and did the other people live?
Yes, everyone lived. There was lots of stitches, lots of broken bones. I had punctured my chest, my lungs, that sort of thing. They had told my folks that I tore my aorta, so they had to fly out on emergency to come out thinking that I may pass. Wow. But no, everyone lived.
Okay. And so did you quit drinking after that?
No. Actually, in the hospital at the time, I had a girlfriend that while I was in the hospital on morphine was bringing me Captain Morgan.
Oh my gosh.
And I had actually asked for some cocaine as well, but she's, being the great girlfriend that she was, no, I'm not going to bring you that, but I'll bring you some Captain Morgan that you can put into your, like those little plastic cups that they give you now, that I had rum and cokes while I was in the hospital.
And nobody knew it?
Nobody knew it.
Okay, so you get out of the hospital and your drinking career and drugging career continues.
Actually, at that time, it curtailed.
Okay.
It curtailed for the fact that the judge said that because of the accident and the severity of it, and I was facing 2 felonies, is that I spent the next 18 months in a correctional facility.
In jail?
In jail for the most part, yeah. Some of it was on work release, so I was able to go to work every day, but I would have to go back to jail every night, living with my cellmates and that sort of thing. Did that for 18 months and then wore an ankle bracelet. Now, during that time, I still didn't stop drinking. I was able to be smart enough that I could start drinking, because they would breathalyze you when you came back into jail, but I could still have 4 or 5 pops here and there and not get caught. So there was still a length of sobriety in there, but it was forced.
If somebody had come up, did somebody come up to you and say you're an alcoholic?
No.
If someone had, what would you have said?
No way. I said, you know what I would have said? Alcoholics go to meetings.
Okay. All right. And so bring us forward in your drinking career to the next low, and maybe it's the last low. I don't know, but the next.
Wait,
low.
I want to ask you something.
Sure.
You didn't think you were an alcoholic, but did you think you had a drinking problem?
It was addressed to me, that people said, hey, you might be drinking a lot, but it was never. No one ever said, hey, maybe you should stop drinking, or because my lifestyle, everyone that I hung out with, in college and back home with all my friends. We all did it. It was just normal to get and drive. It was normal to go, we used to play a game that said, whoever got the drunkest didn't have to drive. So, of course, we would, whoever was the least inebriated by 4 or 5 drunk guys was the one that was driving home. And that was normal every day for us. And never once did anyone say, man, you guys really might have a problem. Or, Aaron, you might have a problem because, I was the one that seemed to enjoy it the most. But
I think of that every time people are more conscious today of drinking and driving or not driving. But when being a counselor and I hear these stories, every single night I go home from work, I'm thinking everybody on the road is drunk. I drive as though they are. Yeah. Because I'm scared to death.
Yeah, no, I know how you feel. Aaron is our guest. Lila is from Powell CDC. Of course, Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat standing by, and I'm J. Michael McCoy. So, Aaron, when did the last end come?
The last end came about 3 years ago. So up until that point, after the accident, the alcohol was just on the same path. I was blessed to meet my wife. And her and I, for the first 4 or 5 years of our relationship, drank together. I would, bring home 2 bottles of wine, but eventually that wasn't enough. So what I used to do is I would get 2 bottles of wine and 4 or 5 mini bottles. And she would look at me a lot of the times and say, man, we've had the same amount of wine, but why are you slurring your words and I'm not? And so eventually I think she started to realize it, and I just figured that was just me building up a tolerance. So what had happened is that we had our first child, a daughter who is now 7, and she stopped drinking because she was pregnant, and I continued to drink and continued just to drink more. And because she wasn't drinking, I would have to hide it a little more, right? I couldn't say, I couldn't bring it home. So that's really where the hiding the alcohol started to do. So I would go to the bar across the street from where I worked. I worked at a hotel at the time, so I'd go across the street with a buddy, and we'd go have a couple of cocktails here and there. And then I could go home and have a 6-pack, right, and drink them overnight, but I'd already have 6 drinks in me.
Yeah.
So what had happened is that we eventually reached a head where my wife looked at me and we looked at each other and we said, man, I might have an issue with alcohol. And so the first time what I did is I went to an outpatient treatment here in Des Moines called the Everest Institute, and went through that and went through 9 weeks of an outpatient, a couple days a week. And the day I graduated from there, it was my birthday.
Oh, no.
And at the time, my wife or I didn't really know a lot about the disease alcoholism. So we went straight to the bar, right? Hey, Aaron's been sober for 9 weeks. That is great. I can quit drinking whenever I want, is what I told myself. Yeah. And she didn't know enough about it to think anything either. So she was, but of course, even as we got out, I'm going up and having a few extra shots and sneaking around and doing that. Went through that, and my drinking progressively started to get worse after the treatment. Started to just drink a little more, was hiding it a little more because, with us having a child around, she didn't want me around drinking all the time. Yeah. So I could still bring home wine. And what I used to do was sabotage her. So to hide my alcoholism, I would bring home 2 bottles of wine and basically not even ask her if she wanted a glass. I would pop it, buy her favorite brand, pour a glass for her. And that way I have it so that way I didn't feel so bad at what I was doing and I wasn't drinking alone. So that progressed for another 4 or 5 months, and she looked at me then and said, and so what she used to find is the little mini bottles around the house here and there. And at that time she said, okay, I've had enough. And from there was what started, would allow me to go into treatment for the second time.
For the second time? For the second time. Now, did she know you'd been in prison?
Oh, yeah, she knew the whole story.
Okay.
Yeah, she was 100%.
And are you still married to this woman?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so far, here's where we're at. And we sound like we have another treatment in store for us. And understand, Aaron is a great guy. My story's a lot the same. You've heard Lila's. This is what alcohol does to your life. And it doesn't ruin your life. You ruin your life, and you add alcohol on top to try to soften the blow, soften the pain, the hurts, habits, and hangups. What his life was like, what happened comes next. Later on, what's his life like now? Here live on Recovery Monday from Powell CDC on KTIA, Iowa.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's gotta be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now, and then leave, and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
22 minutes before the top Salem Radio Network news at 4 and then 4:03. It's Pastor Michael Mudloff with True Blue. We are here on Recovery Monday, brought to you by the good folks at Powell CDC. Remember, if something you hear on this program makes you a little uncomfortable, maybe it just hits a little too close to home, maybe it's not about you, maybe it's about your spouse, your child, the person in the cubicle next to you, someone that you love, someone that you hate, but you want to bring peace and serenity to their life, call the folks at Powell CDC, and they'll just sit down and talk with you. You'll love the way they work with you. Aaron is our special guest today. We are now at your the last bad thing.
Last bad thing, unfortunately, not the last treatment.
Okay, take me to the last treatment. What happened before the last treatment?
So the last treatment I had gone through, PAL, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, came out.
Court ordered?
No, 100%. I had promised my wife that after my second treatment, where I was, she basically said, I'm leaving you if you don't go to treatment. And I drank all the way through that second treatment. And I said, if you catch me drinking again, I will go into inpatient treatment. And of course, I didn't stop drinking. And she found out because we were seeing a marriage counselor. And that next day, I went into Powell for the first time. Stayed sober for 1 year and 1 day.
1 year and 1 day.
1 year and 1 day.
And that's not accidental.
No. We went on a vacation back east to go see her family in Pennsylvania. And I had stolen some of her father's pain pills. Figured pain pills aren't my issue. Alcohol was. I can have, I can feel good. I can celebrate. I've got a year of sobriety. I've never had that before, and took some pain pills. And that started a downward spiral for me again. Wow. So after that 1 year and 1 day, I didn't get caught. What had happened was, I did get caught, is that my wife's father called me and said, I know you stole my pills.
Now, are you still visiting them, or are you home now?
No, we're home now. This is about 2 weeks later.
Okay.
Whoa.
And I'm thinking, I got away with it. Man, how smart am I? He calls me personally as I'm sitting in the AA meeting. A 12-step meeting. And left me a message, and I called him back, thought something was wrong, and he said, I know what you did.
Oh, God.
And he said, I'm not going to say anything. You're going to call your wife, and you're going to tell her.
Whoa.
And I got out of that and had to call her and was in tears. I mean, just felt like the biggest heel. And
you tried to cover it up, though, didn't you?
Oh, 100%.
Honey, I wasn't feeling good, and I didn't mean, right?
Yeah, and I had actually tried to put other pills in there, and he has multiple sclerosis, and I put pills in there into the wrong container that could have killed him.
Oh.
And so that was eye-opening. But what happened after that first year and 1 day is it really was again the downward spiral. So I had been participating in the 12-step program. I was working through everything I needed to do from that perspective. But what I started to do is I started to relapse bit by bit.
Yeah. So
first it was the pills. And then it was, I stopped and had a bad day at work, and I just got a couple of mini bottles, and I didn't say anything. And then the next time I relapsed and I said something, and it was okay, right? You're able to restart again. So that became my process until it went from relapsing every month to relapsing every couple of weeks. The lying got worse.
It's a progressive disease.
Exactly right. And I was able to get my misery refunded with interest. And so what happened was that for the next year and a half, I proceeded to go right back down into that downward spiral, where I was back to drinking mini bottles. I was putting it onto company credit cards. I was lying to my family. I was drinking up to 20 to 24 mini bottles a day and lying about it.
And your wife knew?
No, she knew. I just treated her like she didn't. Okay. I would look her in the eye and slurring my words, and she would hold bottles. Right. I mean, she got to the point where I convinced her that she was crazy because I said that these bottles, they've been there for months. And she says, I just cleaned that out yesterday. And really what started to happen to my last treatment is that my 7-year-old. So I would have a few in the car and drink them, throw them out the window, or have a few in my pocket, think I was being smart to handle the evening. And I would hide them up in the cabinets. And so my 7-year-old, I drank one in front of her thinking nothing. And she didn't say a word to me. Went upstairs, said something to Mom.
Wow.
Mom came down, grabbed the step stool, and I'm just watching all this. Not a word is being said, and she walks right to where I'd put it and pulls them out. And I looked at there and called my 7-year-old and my wife a liar and said those had been there those had been there. You guys don't have any idea what you're talking about. And that's really when, again, I knew I had to go back into treatment, but I didn't have the guts to go do it. Because going through PAL was hard enough. But now I didn't know where else to turn, of course, right? There are other treatment programs, but PAL had saved my life the first time. I just didn't have the guts to come back in and do it again. And so I spent another couple of weeks out. The interesting thing is that through when I went through PAL the first time, so this now was my 4th treatment. Through my 3rd treatment, I struggled with a higher power. And so I had right before Halloween of this year, I went to my church, and they were doing a little trick or treat thing for the kids, and the pastor was there, and I broke down and looked at my pastor and said, "I'm an alcoholic. I need help." Good, and he said, he pulled me aside and said, he prayed with me and prayed for me, and of course nothing happened immediately, but 2 weeks later I was in treatment again. Aww. And when I got back into treatment and walking in those doors again of PAL, put me into tears. I'd gotten back in through the hospital through having a detox, but I wanted to be back there. Being able to see, Lila, all my counselors, people that I had developed real close bonds with, but that didn't judge me, that didn't do anything, but just say, "I'm glad you're back." They hugged me, and they've been there for me, the entire time, and to the point where it's beyond humbling to be able to have that happen.
Well, Aaron is our guest today, and he's recalling what his life is like. How old were you on the 1 year, 1 day?
36.
All right, and today you're 40.
39.
39.
Be 40 this year.
I'm sorry, 39. I didn't mean to age you like that. This may be hard for you to answer because you're in a public forum, but what did it feel like to deceive your wife over and over and over? You'd tell her something, you knew it was a lie, she accepted it or didn't, take a knife to your head. Is there a rush there that I got away with it one more time? Is it shame and sorrow? What is it?
It was shame. It was sorrow. It was guilt. I was never proud of it. I never felt proud that I got away with it again. To me, it was just one more day that I got to drink and I wasn't kicked out of the house. Or there was one more day I was able to pull the wool over somebody's eyes.
You spend any nights on the couch?
More than my fair share.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still, as a matter of fact, I currently, with 72 days of sobriety that I have now, I still sleep in the basement because I haven't earned back the trust yet because I've put her through so much.
I understand that from a wife of an alcoholic.
Yeah. I'm not, and I don't push it. I mean, I want to be there, but.
Lila, what help me with that? The wife of an alcoholic, what's enough time? How many days of sobriety? What does the man have to do before he's finally welcomed back into the bosom of marriage?
First of all, if I've gone to hell and back for this guy and I've really hurt, I want him to hurt.
Okay, and so you're going to make him pay.
So, yeah.
And how long did you make him pay?
Well, for Jim, I've said this on here before. He was so angry with me that I wouldn't say, I'm okay with this. He just said, "When are you going to forgive me?" And I said, "Well, how long did you lie?" And he said, 4 years. And I said, "Then ask me in 4 years." It's a long time to be in your basement.
Wow. Yeah, I was hoping for maybe a 90-day mark or 120, but and if she's listening right now, then yeah. Well.
Aaron is our guest. We're going to come back after this break and find out what's been going on the last 72 days. And is this 72 days going to be different than any other? Or are we just going to get to 366 and it all happens over again? What's making a difference this time for Aaron? You'll be able to share in that when we come back live here on Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC on 99.3 KTIA, powered by webcast1live.com.
mother who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Michael Mudloff. Tomorrow, Shane Vanderhart will be here as we discuss the caucuses, which are once again here in our laps. Who are you going to caucus for, or will you at all? That's tomorrow, live here on The View from a Pew. Aaron is our guest today, and 72 days ago he put the plug in the jug. And what do you think finally drove you to do that? What was the last straw?
You know, the last straw is that I knew in my heart that I had no other way around it. The day before I had gotten into the ER is that my son was homesick, and I had just drank myself to oblivion with a sick 3-year-old. Oh. And my wife had come home and she knew it. And then it just all came together. Not once has she ever said, I thought I was a foot away from getting divorced, when really I was a millimeter away from it, and never truly verbalized. But I know that she was always thinking that. But it all came to a head that I literally just got into my car that night, hammered, and went down to the ER where I was told I didn't qualify, because I was still drunk, of course, and they kicked me out of the ER and sent me home, and I spent the night in the basement.
Whoa. I
got up the next morning and went, and my wife had taken me down to go get my car, and two things popped into my head. One is to walk back into that ER, and the other is to go to the BP down at the end of the street and go buy some bottles. And I grabbed my iPad and my phone and walked right into those doors. But that, it just was accumulation of being sick and tired of the hurt.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
100%. I mean, the way I feel today and the way I felt 72 days ago, amazing.
What if your marriage doesn't last?
Then it doesn't last.
Still going to stay sober?
Oh, 100%. Sobriety is my number one concern. I love my wife. I love my kids. And that will never change. I've shared that with her, is that if she decides during this process that she wants to go a separate way because I've put her through enough, then I will respect that. I will give her what she wants, and we'll be amicable 100% because I've done the hurt, not her. And that's just how it is. But for me, if I want any semblance of a life, it is never, ever picking up a drink of alcohol again.
Yeah.
What is your sobriety birth date?
November 9th.
November 9th. Okay, I want to challenge you. I want to invite you onto this program on November 11th, 1 year and 2 days, it'd be this year, 2014.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to find a 14 calendar, so that's going to be, what did we say, November 11th?
Yep.
That's a Tuesday. Well, we'll make it the 10th, which will be Recovery Monday.
Okay.
And so that'll be 1 year and 1 day. And so we'll bring in lots of mini bottles and see if you can make it till the end of the show.
Oh, no.
Not really. But
Filled with ginger ale.
I want to give you that invitation. We will celebrate your longest period of sobriety ever on that day. In fact, we might even move the show to, this is leap year. So 10th will be 1 year and 2 days. We're good that way.
Challenge accepted.
Okay. And when you come that day, I want you to bring your bride.
Love to.
And I want your bride to share with us her love for you and how deep she had to dig. Because she'll tell us it's farther than she ever thought she'd ever have to dig. Mm-hmm. But how far she had to dig. And let's celebrate that longest period of sobriety in Aaron's life on that day.
Be a pleasure.
Okay, that'd be good. That'd be fine. Question. I should have said this probably 5 minutes from now because that was a good way to end the show. But why wasn't he accepted in the ER? I didn't understand that.
Oh, I was cringing when you said that. I am not sure.
I mean, if somebody's drunk and they want help and they go to the ER, why wouldn't the ER...
Did they
Bob,
do any tests on you?
No, they didn't run any tests that night, but the ER was, from what I was told after the fact, is that, I mean, they had a serious trauma, and I was the last thing I think that they were trying to focus on.
Did you go to Lutheran?
Yeah, I went.
Oh.
I went right. Where I went last time.
I thought they just put him in the detox and locked the door.
No. There have been lots of people that have been rejected. And I took someone there one time, and they were rejected, and I wouldn't let her leave. And then I went upstairs and had a talk with people, and then a doctor came down.
Got the wrath of Lila. Yeah. That's what it is. She's being nice. The wrath of Lila. Well, I think I don't let that deter you. I'm sad that happened to you, or that it does happen to people. But when you get to the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're ready to surrender to anyone, find someone, and maybe even have that set up in advance. I don't know. I was fortunate. I wanted to stop drinking almost 5.5 years before I stopped drinking. And it was because I went into therapy and we discovered I had a mental illness. And until I got that mental disorder figured out, that I was never going to stop drinking. And sure enough, I went 5 years through therapy. And in December of 2009, he said, time for you to quit drinking. And so God worked on it with me all that time. And then I told you about the sermon that my pastor did. And that was the Sunday before...
Easter?
No, what's the Sunday? Palm Sunday. It was the Sunday before Palm Sunday. And then I took the next week and took my last drink then on the 10th of May. But I had a couple friends of mine that I had told, if I ever come to you and say, I need help, don't let me change my mind and you take me somewhere. But see, I've got that cunning, baffling, powerful alcoholic mind, and I never told him that. I made sure that Pat was not one of the guys that I ever went and said when I needed to and I wanted to. But we don't do what we're supposed to do until we have to do what we do.
That's a scary piece for me, is that I knew it for months.
Yeah.
Knew for months that my drinking had gotten to the point where it wasn't, it was maybe I just won't start drinking till noon today.
Yeah.
And at noon, no matter how much I told myself I wasn't going to go to Hy-Vee, that's where I went.
And the sad thing is, at noon 45, maybe at 1 the latest, you're smashed.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just sits in our system. It doesn't go away. Wow. I remember you said once in a meeting that people say you can't smell alcohol, but you can smell it on them.
Yeah. And
is it a breath or is it a body or what is it?
Both. I think it comes out your pores.
Yeah?
You breathe it out, too.
Yeah.
Do you?
Pure alcohol is coming in your breath.
Well, it's interesting because I've got a new guy who just started coming to some different meetings, and he's drinking.
Yeah,
He's not saying he is.
I know, and I smell it sometimes on people, and I don't want to admit it. So it's like, oh, maybe they just use that hand wash that has alcohol, But I need to pay attention to my instincts.
I did it went to many meetings and intoxicated, and I used to blame it on it's the cologne that I'm using, and my sponsor at the time was saying didn't stop using the cologne, and I didn't because I was drinking. But somebody had just the other day, somebody had pulled me aside and saw that I came back and said, "You smell good."
Oh.
And I said, "Well, I showered," and he goes, "That's not what I'm talking about."
Oh.
Aaron has been our guest today. Lila, thanks for being here. Bob, I'll see you this Friday, and until I see you again, do one thing for me, would you? Please, just one. Just pray.